So my adult sons come to me because they're living with their dad and they're paying most of the bills. And they're like, we want to move out. My oldest son, well, both of them had fiancés by this point, that they wanted to move away and move in with their fiancés, but they were scared because they didn't think their dad could make it on their own. And I had my own home. I was working, doing well, and they said, "Can you let Dad move in with you temporarily?" And like I said, at this point, we're getting along. Neil's being nice. He's not being the cold reptilian person he'd been before. And as I mentioned before, the issues I thought surface issues, uh, money, child rearing, advancement in education, career, and religion, I thought those were non-issues, and therefore we wouldn't have issues anymore. I told you, sometimes I'm not too bright. So he moves back in, and we're roommates, we're friends, and we're getting along great. He had plans. He was going to, he was working at Lowe's at this point, and he had to discount there. He was going to plant blueberry plants and strawberry plants in my yard, and he was going to take care of the outside, and we'd split the bills, and it would be great. And when he moved in, it was really nice, and I'm not gonna cry. I honestly thought that Neil's problem was he was born in the 50s and thought women should be a certain way. And I honestly thought, with the changes I had made while we were separated, and him seeing that me having a career and me having my own money didn't mean he was any less of a man, and that we could still have a relationship, I honestly thought things had changed. And I think I was still influenced by my parents' religion that, it's a marriage, you got to make it work. Give it a shot. You don't divorce. So he moved in, we got along the first year or two, and we said, hey, let's give it another go. And for the little bit after that, it was okay. And then over time, he again became distant, again became cold, but even more cruel. I should mention, starting about 2008, 2009, he stopped having regular intimacy with me. Up until that point, we had a great sex life. It was really good. But over time, I think when I hit my late 30s, early 40s, I don't know if I got too old for him, because there is a huge age difference, or if it was because I was starting to assert myself more and more, standing up to him, and that turned him off, or if it was just a control thing to make me feel bad about myself and my attractiveness. But he wasn't sleeping with me. And so in our marriage, when we reconciled, it was good for a while, and then it started going south again. There was no intimacy, and he just said he wasn't interested in sex anymore. And he told me he couldn't be affectionate, that wasn't who he was, and I should lower my expectations. Now, if you love someone, you don't tell them to lower their expectations in a relationship. You try to rise to meet them. That's what love is. But, my dumbass didn't see it that way. I'm like, okay. And he told me, I don't love you like I used to. I don't love you as much, and I never will again. At one point, he told me he saw people as bugs. People are just bugs. Which would explain why he treated me the way he did during our marriage, because I was just a bug. Not the mother of his children, not the partner that stood through with him when he lost job after job, couldn't pay bills, when he lost his mom. Like, he didn't see a supportive partner. He saw a bug. And he treated me like that. And I tolerated it because I didn't value myself. Wasn't taught to. So the marriage went really south. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years ago, he'd lost some teeth. He suddenly gets really interested in his appearance. He wants to look good. And he buys himself a Dodge Charger, a nicer car than I have. But then he comes to me and says, I bought this Dodge Charger without consulting me. I don't want to pay as much. I need to pay less. And now, by this point, he's working at a hotel and casino where we live locally as a hotel concierge. And gambling. He's going out to the casino a lot. So I was like, I have to admit, I'm like, no. We agreed we'd pay 50-50. You went out and bought this car. I can't help it. It's now more than you wanted. And you also go out and gamble. I'm not going to let you pay 25% of the bills so you can pay for your Dodge Charger, which is a nicer car than I have, and then go out and gamble. I thought it was kind of shitty. And it just went downhill from there. And I felt really that he was having an affair. The interesting thing is stuff started getting moved around the house. We had separate rooms. Again, he didn't want to have sex with me. He kept telling me that, no one's been in the house. And I know this sounds paranoid, but shit was getting moved. He was having an affair. And I can't tell you how I know. Just, he was. And not just with one person. I finally was able to verify what I kind of had suspected throughout a marriage, things I didn't go into, but years ago, I found him on a website called, I found on his computer, he had left it up, and he was on a place called findabuddy.com, and he told me he went on there for free pictures of porn. At one point, I was trying to send an email, and I found on his computer pictures that looked like homemade pictures of people doing it, like someone who was there taking a picture, and he didn't have any idea. And really, my mind was like, he took pictures of people screwing in front of him, but I could prove it. And again, like, well, I can't prove it. I have to believe him. But now I had proof. He was sleeping with other people. And that's why ultimately I made him move out in February of this year. I knew he was sleeping with other people now for sure, for a fact. It wasn't just a suspicion. And that's when I found out that, I found out who my family really was. That my family life that I thought we had, yes, we'd separated, yes, we'd had problems, but I found out it was a lot more screwed up than I thought. And I was completely by myself. Other than one child, my other kids, two of them were not talking at all, and one barely. I suddenly had people following me, and phone was hacked, and computer was hacked, and just a lot of stuff continually that in most people would scare them and initially frighten me. So I was isolated and alone. People in my small town were looking at me with a jaundiced eye. I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure I was bad-mouthed. Smear campaign. And with the weirdos that occasionally were following me, the flying monkeys, gang stalking. And definitely hacking and cyber stalking. My phone, I was getting weird random phone calls and weird text messages ever since we moved out. And so not only was I left completely alone and abandoned after being lied to and cheated on, I was being stalked, gang stalked, and cyber stalked.